Hello, homies. Today we get to speak with a mama who many of you here in Perth will know very well. Her name is Aimee Maloney, and she is such an incredibly knowledgeable mama. I call her the walking duck, duck, go, because any little bit of information you could possibly want to know about anything natural health or conscious mothering related, Aimee is your gal. Now, she, along with a couple of her friends, started the Conscious Mothers Facebook group here in Perth. It's only for Perth mothers, so if for our international guests, hopefully you have something similar. But this group has meant so much to me. It was one of the first Facebook groups I joined when I arrived in Perth a few years ago. And the mothers were just so welcoming. Most of my clients come from this group. I honestly have so much to thank Aimee for, and also Emily and Ashley who started this group. So ladies, just a very warm, heartfelt thank you. And then Aimee has gone a step further this year and started a business called Soulscan, which has been really wonderful for picking up intolerances and sensitivities in clients. So we'll talk a little bit about that today as well. So this is a wrap for 2021, and I can't think of a better person to finish it off with than Aimee, who was one of the first people that I met when I arrived in Perth. So Aimee, thank you for all your support over all these years, and a big thank you to all of the conscious mamas in Perth for all of your support as well. You all have a very special place in my heart. All the best for 2022.
Welcome to the Homeopathy Hangout podcast, where we discuss all things homeopathy from around the world. And now, your host, Eugenie Kruger.
Hello, homies, and a very warm welcome to our final episode of 2021. And I can't think of a better person than the lovely Aimee Maloney. Welcome, Aimee.
Thank you, Jeannie. It's really lovely to be here.
It's lovely to have you on. You are one of the first people I met in Perth when we moved over here, thanks to the incredible Conscious Mothers group that you and a couple of your friends started. It has been a lifesaver for me. I'm so grateful to that group. And that's also what's helped me grow my business, because a lot of the conscious mums are really into natural ways of healing and that sort of thing. So I have a lot to thank you for. And you've also got a wonderful business you started this year called Soulscan, which we're going to go into. But I wonder, can we kick it off by you telling our audience how you first discovered homeopathy?
Yeah, so it was probably you that put something in the Conscious Mothers group, because I came along to your house for one of your first sessions. And so I guess that's where we met. So I'm just trying to think when you started doing those.
Probably a good 4 years ago now, I think.
Yeah, I would say Lenny was pretty young. So I've got an almost 5-year-old and almost 2-year-old. Lenny, I don't think we discovered homeopathy in her first year, maybe to the end of her first year.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just the biggest game changer. So I'm pretty sure you must have added it an event in the group, and I came along to your house back when you lived near me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was just absolutely enthralled. And, you know, I'm such a researcher, so it really just set me on my own path of research and mostly, to be honest, just experimentation. It's just coming to you and hearing you talk just started off that first bit of confidence just for me to just give it a go at home, because you know, I'm so used to going to practitioners for things. Even though we do everything naturally, I still have like this big list of, I've got my naturopath and my herbalist and the chiro and the kinesiologist. And as soon as any issue came up, the first thing I would do was kind of think, all right, well, which practitioner do we go to about this?
Mm-hmm.
So then coming along and hearing that I can do this stuff at home was just the biggest game changer. Because it really helped in the most acute scenarios where you wanted to do something immediately. And in every other scenario, I had to like call and wait for an appointment. And, you know, I just didn't have that knowledge until I came to that very first session. I didn't even know what homeopathy was until I came to that first session.
Oh, that's really cool. And I had to giggle when you said I'm such a researcher, because that is a gross understatement. You are like a walking duck, duck, go. I won't say Google. You're a walking duck, duck, go, because if you want to know anything about anything natural health related, Aimee is the go-to. It doesn't matter what topic it is. You have already done the research. I don't know where you find the time with 2 little ones or how you do it, but yeah, I have called upon you many times for all sorts of things, from teeth healing protocols to, you know, all sorts of other stuff. Just quickly message Aimee, she'll know.
I do find that it helped that I did so much research before having kids, because you are so time poor once kids come along. But then on the other side of it, I've grown such a like-minded community that now, as soon as anything happens, me and my friends in our chat group, you just say, has anyone had ringworm or whatever it is? And there's a few people in the group that are just like, boom, they're straight on to you, letting you know what they did, how they did it, and that you don't have to start from scratch and research. Like, once you find your community, and like that's probably just the biggest thing I'm passionate about, is like trying to connect like-minded mothers on this journey, because it's not easy. It's every single thing we do as conscious mothers is hard work. All day, it's like from the moment you get up, all the decisions you're making are the hard version of decisions. They're never quick, they're never easy. It's a lifeline having a group of knowledgeable women around me. And then if my own group don't know, then we've got a great Facebook group, and then you just put it out to the broader community. And then since you started your homeopathy group, another game changer. Whereas you can't always be available for those quick questions, you've now empowered so many women who now have so many scenarios under their belts and have been through so much with homeopathy, that you can just post in a group. And, within minutes, you've got so many people recommending what remedy, recommending, what they've done in that scenario. I mean, it's just the knowledge share is just the most brilliant way to be using technology, in my opinion.
Absolutely. You're making me a little bit teary, because we have got such a good thing going here in Perth. There are so many empowered mamas here who are using homeopathy and using natural medicine and helping each other out and supporting each other, which is what motherhood should be like. You shouldn't be sitting there all by yourself feeling isolated. You should reach out and, get your tribe and use your natural medicine to empower yourself. And that's the thing with mamas. Somebody's always up. It doesn't matter what time of the day or night, either breastfeeding or helping a child with a fever, or there's a cough, or somebody's always up. So if it's 2, 3 a.m., you can post in the group, and there's probably going to be a mama close to you that's going to have the remedy you need. And that's what we want. Hey?
Absolutely. And even like just when we're out and about, it's like, oh, ant bite, who's got apis? It's, oh my gosh, splinter, who's got silica? Like, just being around people that, when everyone is empowered in the same natural medicine, is just, as you say, any time of night, there'll be a message in the group, so-and-so started vomiting, so-and-so started complaining of ear pain. And whatever it is, because you have given not just the women of Perth, but for me, namely the women of Perth, such access to learn this for their home use, it's changed the way we all deal with our kids, everything that they go through, everything, just not just sickness, but emotionally, developmentally, as families. Like, it's changed everything.
Well, you are to be applauded, because you are the one that created that channel. I arrived here in Perth not knowing anyone. You already had all these hundreds of women ready to receive all this information. It was just so amazing to arrive here and have all these mothers who are open to natural medicine, who are ready to learn these new skills, and most importantly, act on it. They are not the ones that just listen to the course and then go off and go do something else. They actually make this information their own and empower themselves. You provided the framework there. I gave them a little bit of sprinkle of knowledge, and then these powerful mamas of Perth have taken this knowledge and made it their own, and now it's theirs. And that is really exciting.
And I honestly, that would be the number one advice to give to anyone who's not currently using it or using it sparingly, is that it's like you just have to practice. Like, okay, so I've been probably using homeopathy for 4 years now, and maybe in the last 2 to 3, it's like my number one medicine. Like, we've just had our first ear infection in almost 5 years. So it was my first time. And so you'll never know everything, and each time can be different. Each kid can be quite different in their constitution and therefore what works for them. And so you just have to be open to trial and error. And I've had some real failures with homeopathy, and I'm like, I get bummed, and I'm like, oh, I just can't get that cough, and I just haven't got the right remedy. And then that's where obviously being able to get a consult is key, to just actually work alongside a homeopath. But I don't think of it as a failure in that way, because then the next time that kind of cough comes around, I'm kind of like, you know what, last time that didn't work, I might just go straight for that this time. And you just wouldn't know that if you didn't just give it a go every time.
Absolutely. There's no such thing as failures, only learning experiences. So no, I agree with you there. Absolutely. What sort of things, Aimee, have you used homeopathy for with your 2 little ones?
I don't think there's anything I haven't used homeopathy for. I genuinely, from like the moment Stevie, my almost 2-year-old, was born especially, I was so much more confident going into that. I mean, obviously from everything, pregnancy and birth, like my whole birth kit. And then as soon as she came out, we were right in there with every tiny little thing. I felt so much more confident this time around using, even like 200 Cs on a baby, which I know I wouldn't have been comfortable using with Lenny back then. But gosh, there really isn't anything. I think what I love the most is probably the more emotional stuff. And because luckily we haven't had too many issues with sickness, although both my kids have just resonated so well with teething remedies. Stevie, when she was little, like the more colic. To be honest, we're big fans of combos these days. I really sometimes think that I'm doing the lazy edition of homeopathy lately, because I really just reach for the combos, and like for us, like 80% of the time it works, and I don't even have to go and look at the symptoms and figure out what remedy. And then when it doesn't work, I've got to jump back into it and open up my Dana Ullman, is that how you pronounce it? Dana Ullman book, or look at the flow charts, or, you know, but oh gosh, it feels like I've been a bit lazy with homeopathy in the last year just because we're all about the combos.
Well, homeopathy doesn't have to be hard. And if the combos work for you, then absolutely go for it. And like you said, it's probably going to work in 80% of cases, maybe even more. But sometimes if it doesn't, you need to reach for that single remedy just to have more of an impact. But hey, I've become a huge fan of combos myself. You know, a few years ago, I would have snubbed them and said, oh, no, you need to use single remedies, classical homeopathy all the way. And these days, you know, if it works, who cares? I've even started playing around with the Narayani remedies, and they have things like Rainbow 50M. And I always joke and I say it's got like Happy Thoughts 10M in it and that sort of thing. And which in my brain is just going, this remedy cannot work. And then people take it and they tell me they get these awesome results. And I'm like, how are you getting this result with this remedy? It shouldn't work. And my husband, who's the ultimate skeptic, he's had a history of PTSD and things like that after being in the South African police force. And recently he was feeling really down, and I gave him the Narayani depression balance remedy, and one dose and he was changed. And he said to me, wow, that remedy was so good. And I'm like, are you sure? Are you really sure? But I could see the change in him, and it was just amazing. So, you know, homeopathy blows my mind sometimes as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've just recently got that combo. I'm excited about that because I've been doing so much research lately into the COVID protocol. And, you know, and a lot of them, like actually the more pharmaceutical side of the protocols, like an antidepressant is suggested in like, for, you know, for really bad cases of COVID, it's like there's an antihistamine, there's a, you know, an oral steroid, there's an antidepressant, there's melatonin. And I've like, been, I guess, just got all the homeopathic versions in my kit, and I do have that depression combo, and it actually makes a lot of sense. I know I get really down when I get sick, and I do actually start to really, and I've never thought about treating the emotional side of it because I'm so like chasing those symptoms and, you know, doing everything I can with extra immune boosters. And then I actually always forget. Well, as a mum, you always put yourself last anyway, but I always forget my own emotional state of mind. Like I'm very, very honed into the kids because the kids' emotions change the way each day goes. So toddler tantrum mix has been like a game changer.
I wish I had that mix when my kids were toddlers. I only made that mix, I think, the start of this year. And my kids are 10 and 7 now, but I wish I had that toddler mix because sometimes I would struggle with the single remedies when they were little. And we did go through toddler tempers when they were little for sure.
Hey, I think that could work for any age. If I'm about to have a bit of a tanty and I'm at the end, I might even use it for myself.
Actually,
because it's magic. So I think I really, next time I just feel like having a tantrum, I think I might just have a dose.
Well, Christmas is coming up, so I think there's going to be a few family tantrums and things coming up. So I might keep a bottle handy for myself after all.
Yeah, honestly, I think you should probably change it from calling it the toddler tantrum mix to just the tantrum mix. Like we all feel like having a tantrum once in a while. Like we've all got big feelings. It's just that as adults, we're just not as free to express them because of all our conditioning. So, you know, if we can just normalize it and just, I don't know, bottle it up and call it an adult temper tantrum mix and, you know.
We have the best word for a tantrum in Afrikaans, and I'm not going to translate it because it's a little bit rude, but for any Afrikaans listeners listening, vloermoer is one of the best words ever. So I can't translate that, but I know the South Africans listening to this.
Would it be like having a wobbly?
Yes. Yeah.
That would be like the English word for having a tantrum, chucking a wobbly.
Chucking a wobbly. We say vloermoer. I know there's going to be a few giggles from this one. So, Aimee, what advice do you have for homeopathy users who are just starting out? Now, what was your initial journey like? Did you find it easy to grasp the remedies, or was it a little bit difficult for them? And what advice do you have for newbies starting out?
Well, the downside of my research is that I ended up just very confused because, like you mentioned, I'd been doing a lot of research and was learning that with classical homeopathy, you only do this and then, you know, only one dry dose, and then you go onto water doses, and the conflicting information out there was overwhelming. But if I look back now, I wish I didn't do that and I just stuck with just what you had taught us and just trusted in that and just kind of gone down one path. What I find is you can go, homeopathy, and start to research. And what you do realize is every single homeopath will do it differently. And the advice that you'll get if you start going outside of like one particular group or one particular book will all contradict itself. And so my advice would be to just be a bit more loosey-goosey with it, as in like you can't stuff up. And so like it doesn't have to be so serious, as in like I think when we're thinking medication, especially if you've come from a mainstream background, you're thinking about harm and overdose, because that type of prescription medicine can result in that. And so you do have to be very careful and really follow instructions. But if you just start practicing and you're just like, I'm going to try this, and then, I'm going to try a different dose, and then actually I'm going to just do this every 2 minutes, and you really can just play around with it and just watch and see what works. I just feel like that just will empower you more so than like, okay, I have to give one dose every 15 minutes and then there's no food or water either. And it gets a little bit much. And so my advice would just be to just go for it and just like jump in, just try it, just have a kit and just keep trying. It'll just build the confidence quickly. And I can say that now a few years in. I know it's hard at the start, but yeah, that is what I would say to myself like 4 years ago, because I know that I had a very slow start to homeopathy because I wanted to get it right. And I just don't think there is any getting it right. Like I'm just so open now to just trying. And look, my almost 5-year-old, we have just had to use pain relief and a course of antibiotics for the very first time in her life. And it did devastate me. But then I look at the flip side of that coin. I've been able to not give her pain medication or antibiotics for 5 years.
It's amazing.
Because of homeopathy. Like it is such a gift. And that Western medicine is always there as backup when and if you need. And so I am so thankful, because as soon as we started that, the turnaround was incredible. And I'm sad that I just couldn't get onto it this time with homeopathy. But yeah, it's just been such a gift to be able to just do trial and error and have so many successes over the last 5 years that have led to this point where we had to.
I love that you're real about it. And at the end of the day, you've got the remedies there to help rebalance the gut flora, any potential effects the antibiotics might have had on her, or, just to build her system back up again after that. So it's win-win all round. And like you said, it's just a skill. We just keep on building on it. Now, something else that I think has been revolutionary for everyone in our group was you discovering the flow charts. Now, I absolutely recommend everyone purchasing this book. It is so handy. And sometimes, like basically the flow charts, Aimee, you'll probably, I don't know if you recall the author of it. Sorry, I can't remember it off the top of my head.
So the book is called The Homeopathic Prescribing Pocket Companion, and it's by Stephen Kane and Lee Kane.
And how do you spell the surname?
Kayne.
Brilliant. Now, for those listeners, only way I could describe it is just completely revolutionizing home prescribing. So it's got about almost 60 different therapeutics. So whether it's ear infections or fevers, or I think even gout, or there's a whole variety, heartburn, everything. And then it will say, is it worse in the morning and worse at night? And it will just follow a flowchart style and help you to select the remedy. Because let's face it, when you're starting out as a home prescriber, it can be so hard to know which remedy to give. And they have just completely simplified this and created these beautiful flowcharts. So if anyone wants to add to their books at home, this would be a great Christmas stocking filler to add.
Yeah, and you can get you can definitely get the ebook or the I haven't actually seen it in the flesh. A book in the flesh.
They've got the ebook as well. Great.
Yeah, that's what I've got, the ebook, and it really just is. I mean, I really wish that we could create some more one day for like emotional flowcharts, because they are for more physical symptoms, but I just find them so incredibly handy.
They are incredibly handy. Now, Aimee, you, with all your humongous amounts of research that you do, have been asking lots of very interesting questions and trying to think, how can we more help the mothers in our community? And you've started a business this year called Soulscan. Can you please tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So here in Perth, we have a few practitioners who were using a bioenergetic machine to test a lot of like food sensitivities. And this machine is quite incredible and it tests a lot. But mostly what I noticed about the mamas in Perth is that whenever their bubbas were having issues with anything and they suspected food intolerances, they never knew what to cut out of their diet. And especially when it's not even just your main culprits, your gluten, your dairy, eggs or sulfur. And it was really quite difficult for everyone to get into the main person in Perth. She had like a 9-month wait list to get into a naturopath. And a lot of us were seeing her. And, I just ended up thinking I would love to give this machine more readily access to this community. And so I ended up purchasing the machine and getting trained in it. It's from the US. And I ended up setting up a business where I'm kind of like the lab, I guess. So I work with practitioners, holistic practitioners around Perth. And I guess where they have a client that they think would really benefit from understanding what's going on at that root cause level of the body, whether it's food and environmental, or whether it's more like root cause issues like the heavy metals, the hormones. There's so many things that the machine can test for. Like I test for hundreds and hundreds of items. And it really just takes the guesswork out for a lot of practitioners, especially when they're not seeing the results that they would like to be seeing, or quite a hard case and they're not quite making the progress they would like to. It's possibly because there's just this underlying stealth root cause that just the symptoms are not, able to add up. And so, I started working with practitioners only, and I've just had the most wonderful feedback, and I've just really loved helping people with that maybe first step, especially where people just don't even know what practitioner to go to because they're not even sure what underlying issues they have. And so there's so many wonderful modalities here in Perth. There's so many journeys that you can go on with your health. I just think of the scan and the way I've put it together as like an amazing uncovering where it points you in the direction of what the most important thing your body is telling you to look at first. Because when I do a scan, it's coming up with the severity of each item and whether it's like more of an acute item or a chronic item. And so, you're really wanting to focus on those really high severity chronic items first. And whether it's a cavity and you go to a holistic dentist, or it's mold and you go to, someone who specializes there, or if it's kind of anything and you resonate with homeopathy and you want to, go to a homeopath who can do it all. I just think it's such a gift to have this machine to take out all the guesswork.
The beauty of it all is you just need a piece of the person's hair. So you don't need to take time out of your schedule to pile your kids in the car to go for a consultation. You can just cut a bit of their hair off, a tiny little amount, not as much as I cut off for my kids, because Aimee was like, have they got a hole in their hair right now? I was like, yep, just a tiny little bit of hair. And you post it off, and then Aimee magically sends you this massive report. And it's actually worth doing the testing just for the practitioner report that she sends out to you of all the different people that you can see, mostly in Perth, hey? Mostly Perth practitioners.
I have gone back and forth with this because I would love to open it up to other places, but then it would be worth taking the recommendations down because that's only practical for people in Perth. And so I might just have that as like a side thing that I start to add just for those in Perth. And then I just kind of pull that back. But it's really about once you know what direction to go in and you know whether your issue is heavy metals or parasites or, your chakras and then all you got to do is Google, chakra balancing and where you live, and you're going to find a practitioner who specializes in it. If that's the route you'd like to go down, like to work like with a practitioner. So yeah, I think just having the knowledge, you don't really need my recommendations. You just need to know where to start, and then you're going to find different practitioners in your area who specialize in, different areas.
Yeah, absolutely. I might just share how I've been using it in my clinic, because we've been working together on this for a little while now. And I found it incredibly helpful because we do sometimes get those cases that are just really tricky and they're really stuck. And you're giving really well indicated remedies and it's not working. You're like, what on earth is going on? And then you send off this report, and then something like mold might come back. And then suddenly you show this report to the parents and they're like, maybe it's worth getting your house checked for mold. And then, bullseye, there's what's been triggering what we call the maintaining cause, is this mold exposure that the person's been having that we never even would have considered because they didn't know about it. And it wasn't until they pulled up some floorboards and discovered it, or something along those lines. Or it might be like Lyme was one of the things that came up for a client of mine. And that was something that I thought was really interesting. Sometimes food intolerances will come up. For heavy metals, mercury came up for one of my little clients. And it was so interesting because he actually had this whole mental, emotional symptom picture of mercury. And he's done really well on that remedy. So you've really helped me in just giving my clients some more options to look at. And also, I'm not a dietitian or a nutritionist. So when food intolerances come up, it's really helpful if you can show that on a piece of paper to your client and say, look, you really need to cut out that dairy. We've given all the remedies we can to help with congestion. But at the end of the day, that congestion that your child constantly has, that chronic congestion, is not going to go away until you eliminate the dairy. And you can see it on this scan, on this report now. So sometimes that's really good motivation for people to make change. Things like candida, all sorts of stuff come up on that report. It's just mind-blowing how many different things it tests for.
Yeah, and I that was always the missing piece for me, was that if you're going back to a chiropractor every few weeks, or you're going to a homeopath in any modality, but if you keep going back and that's the way you're maintaining wellness, then I always just figured, well, what if you're still exposing yourself to that thing that's actually causing the issue and you don't know you are? I remember you letting me know of one of your clients because I also test for things like materials, like, latex and wool. And, if you're sleeping on a latex bed and you have a high sensitivity and you've got a stress response to latex, I mean, you're never going to be getting that restful sleep. The flow-on effect to that is basically every health condition under the sun, and you would never know that it's your mattress. But
absolutely.
I do remember you letting me know about a client that, slept on a goose feather pillow, and then the goose feathers actually came up on the report. And how simple, right? Just to change your pillow over and possibly have a myriad of respiratory issues actually change, because as many remedies as you can give, if you just go back every night and sleep on that pillow, you're never actually getting rid of the root cause of the issue.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have a special term for that in homeopathy. It's called a maintaining cause.
Right.
So, yeah.
I can imagine food is obviously the number one maintaining cause.
Yeah, there's lots. I mean, it can be an abusive household, or it can be, cigarette smoke or exposure to toxins or all sorts. But actually, polyester came up in my husband's Soulscan. And so we've just chucked out all his polyester clothes and he's only got cotton now. So even simple little changes like that has been really helpful.
Yeah, and
But
I've had such wonderful feedback from people. Yeah, I just think it's a wonderful offering for anyone who just wants that whole picture of
mhm.
what their current state of their body's energetic, being is. And look, it changes. It's kind of painting this picture right now. But of course, as time goes on, especially with children, with like rapidly developing immune systems, and there's always so much changing, to just understand what's going on right now can just be incredibly helpful.
And everything that comes up on the scan, we have pretty much in homeopathic potency, whether it's mold or mercury or candida or foods or whatever, we have in homeopathic potency. So whenever these things come up on the scan, sometimes it's as simple as just giving that thing that came up in the scan back to the person in homeopathic potencies. Sometimes it's not that simple, but sometimes it is. So it's quite helpful.
Yeah. And I love the interpretation of it too. I recently did a scan for someone, and because I do a body scan first, and so all the systems of the body, like the digestive system, the lymphatic system, like they're all there, but also then there's other areas of the body, and heart came up for her husband. And I saw it as quite a physical thing. And, and I just kind of had said to her when I was going through the report, and I don't usually go through reports with people, but this was a friend of mine. And I'd kind of just, said, it would definitely be worth just getting this checked out and making sure that there's no heart issues going on. And she said straight away, I know what it is, and it's a broken heart, because he'd recently suffered grief and the loss of a family member. I just thought even just that just changed my perspective, where I was thinking of it as the heart physically. And when we're talking about energy, we're not always talking about physical symptoms, and that's where things can come up that haven't even become physical symptoms yet, and they are energetically they're happening years before they ever become a physical symptom. So I just love that it shows this picture that I feel like no other way could show that until it's physically boom and you get hit with it. So yeah, I think it's been a real gift to discover that this machine exists, and then for me to be able to purchase it, get trained in it, and now like offer this kind of lab to practitioners. I always thought that having this machine in one practitioner's office really limited who could use it. And so because I've got the machine and I'm not a practitioner, I've got chiros or homeopaths, naturopaths, kinesiologists, even an alternative GP. Yeah, it's like so many modalities are able to use it. And I scan different things for different practitioners. So the chiro is looking at a lot more physical body parts to help them understand things that are going on in the body. And so, yeah, it's totally customizable, and, and it's changed as even COVID's come around, and I'm able to check for things that are more helpful to understand those predispositions of who might struggle with COVID.
Amazing. So, Aimee, can you tell us a little bit about how people can get hold of you and how they can order a scan?
Yeah, so they can go to www.soulscan.com.au. That's SOULSCAN. At this time, I do only work with practitioners, so people are welcome to contact me to find out who they can go to, or they can just go to their holistic practitioner and ask if they could order one through them. I am looking at rejigging things so that the general public will be able to order just the food intolerance panel, because you don't necessarily need a practitioner for that. It's just a bit of information about which foods your body has a stress response to, which ones are highly reactive, moderately reactive, or completely balanced. And if you choose, you can follow a bit of an elimination diet to just remove those high reactive foods out of your system for a couple of weeks. So but the other stuff, it really does need a practitioner. Like, it's just information on its own, and it really doesn't need a practitioner.
Amazing. So, Aimee, let's wrap up Homeopathy Hangout for 2021 with your top 3 favoritist of all time homeopathic remedies and why.
Okay. Chamomilla 200C. For a myriad of reasons. Definitely helped with teething over the years, but also just emotional balancing for the kids. Whenever there's any upset, it's just like the first one I will go to. Pulsatilla 200C, because my kids are both just pulsatilla kids, and the clingy and whingy it's magic. It's like within moments, they're off playing again. And I'd have to throw a combo in there now.
Please do. I don't think we've had a combo yet, so please do.
Gosh, which combo? The cough combos have been hit and miss, so maybe not a cough combo. I'm just going to have to say the toddler tantrum.
Okay, let's go with toddler tantrum.
Yeah, I've basically just picked all 3 remedies that help with my kids' emotions. But as a mother of a 5 and 2, I do find that just sometimes just the highest priority.
Absolutely. And let's face it, when the kids' emotions are all balanced, then we're balanced. It's just like, it's a vicious cycle, isn't it?
Oh, wait, no, can I add in coffee?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We just make up the rules as we go.
So because of my, my nervous system, or in the middle of the night, my insomnia, although now I've got the insomnia mix, I haven't even used it yet. But let's say coffee, because that has saved me in getting me back to sleep so many nights.
Oh, that's a good one. Nux vomica is my one that always gets me back to sleep when my mind's just going. I love Nux vomica.
Yes, Nux vomica recently saved us when Stevie started waking between 3 and 5 a.m. And finding it hard to get back to sleep. So a dose of Nux vomica before bed had totally changed that. But I never even think to have Nux vomica in the middle of the night if I can't get back to sleep. That's a good little tidbit.
Oh, well, Aimee, it's been so wonderful to have you on today. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm excited to see how Soulscan goes. And I just know that you're going to get a lot of inquiries after this because, so many of us have so many questions about where is it that this thing is coming from that's just the missing piece in my puzzle. And I'm excited about what Soulscan is able to offer our clients in that regard. So thanks for doing it. And thanks for being so brave and putting this together, because starting a new business is hard enough, but the ridiculous amount of research that goes into purchasing a super expensive machine like this, I can only imagine how many hours went into researching this. So thank you so much for doing it.
Thank you. And if I wasn't articulate enough in my description of what I do, please just go to the website. I put so much effort into the about and the FAQ that really I should just point everyone there instead of me trying to explain what it does, because I feel like I just want to say it's voodoo magic sometimes, and that's just not good enough because there's so much science behind. If you've got any questions, definitely jump on the website to find out more.
Absolutely. Well, have a wonderful Christmas and New Year, and I'll see you on the flip side.
Bye.
See ya.